The pay gap, according to the American Association of University Women, is the difference between the median salaries of both men and women with similar qualifications, experiences, and jobs. In 2017, the AAUW stated women only made approximately 80% of what their male counterparts did nationwide. In Michigan, they only made 78%. Gender isn't the only thing that can have an impact on your pay. Race, age, sexuality, education, including where you attended school, occupation, family status, especially those with young children, plus many more can have significant impacts on how much an individual may earn and the associated pay gap. One of the biggest factors, if not the biggest, is race when statistics regarding the pay gap are discussed. They generally only look at the white woman in comparison to the white man. When we begin to look at other races, we can see that race has a pretty big impact on pay. This graphic by the AAUW shows the actual percentages women of different racial groups earn in comparison to the white man. It is clearly shown that white males hold the power by earning at least 10% more than every racial group of women and almost 50% more than Hispanic and Latina women. Overall, this adds up to a total of $10,169 on average that women are missing out on every year, according to the National Women's Law Center. The National Women's Law Center also found that over a 40-year-long career, Latinas are losing out on about $1,135,440, and Black women lose around $946,120. In 1963, the Equal Pay Act was signed into effect. Since then, the gap has been slowly closing. This table of statistics, compiled from the National Committee on Pay Equality, shows this. The conservative view on diversity focuses very closely on the patriarchal culture. The blame is placed on the individual rather than society. The individual oppression is ignored. The conservative perspective claims that the pay gap does not exist in society. An individual and their work ethic or lack of are to blame for any experience with receiving a lower wage than someone else, rather than believing society has nothing to do with it. The second approach to diversity is a liberal approach. The focus is very much on sameness and takes a very neutral position. Inequality is due to lack of opportunity and is a concern of an individual, not a societal flaw. This approach views the pay gap as a problem for an individual who has not had the opportunity to exceed. The focus on sameness ignores intersectionality, meaning that women of color and their problems are often ignored. Next is the pluralist approach, which has many similarities to the liberal approach. A major difference is that the focus is on differences. There is an acknowledgement that diversity is important, but it is not celebrated and oppressions are not discussed. The belief is still that with hard work, anyone can excel. This means that they view the pay gap as an individual problem because they are not trying hard enough to earn a higher wage. Any intersectionality is ignored. The left essentialist approach acknowledges there are different groups, but fails to see differences within groups. The approach sees that there is society, but only on a very shallow level. The approach views the pay gap as a problem. What they fail to see is that women of color face even more oppression than white women. This approach also believes that unless you are being oppressed yourself, you cannot share your opinion or speak on the topic. The fifth and final approach to multiculturalism is the critical approach. This approach focuses on inequalities and societal transformations. They work to expose privilege and differences. This approach views the gender gap that society needs to fix. The intersectionality of the issue is seen and understood. The critical approach examines how this may shape reality. As a white woman, I have a lot of privilege, but I still have some oppression in regards to gender. Because of this and the fact that many of my friends and family are suffering from the pay gap, it is important to me. Potential changes I would like to see are for more people to acknowledge and understand the gap. This starts by having conversations and the willingness to share information with others. Another change is for the gap to close faster. The Institute for Women's Policy Research claims it will take until 2059 for white women to receive equal pay, black women until 2119, and Hispanic women until 2224. I hope with a conscious effort by society this will happen sooner.